a lot of people are asking questions about this. Closing arguments have ended, and now the judge will decide. Adam Ruther is here to break it all down from a legal standpoint of what's going on. So the judge has heard those closing arguments. What do you think he's thinking, doing right now, and why are we waiting until Thursday?
So Judge Williams is doing exactly the same thing that a jury would be doing under these circumstances. He's deliberating. He's taking the evidence that's been adduced at trial and presented to him in support of the state's case, and he's matching it up with the elements of the offenses under the law. And what Judge Williams is doing between now and Thursday, as he did in the Nero trial, is crafting an opinion that he's going to read to the court explaining what his verdict is. In a jury trial, they don't do that. The jury simply says guilty or not guilty on each one of the charges. But as Judge Williams did in the Nero case, and judges often do in bench trials, Judge Williams is actually likely going to explain why his verdict is what it is by going through each one of the elements and saying the state either did or didn't meet its burden to prove every one of those elements beyond a reasonable doubt.
And when we come to the case and the charges here, do you think if Freddie Gray had not died, would we have seen any charges in this case?
Well, the state's use of the law of involuntary manslaughter and depraved heart murder was certainly unusual in this case. But obviously, without there being a death of the victim, those two charges by definition could not have existed here. So all the state would have been left with is a decision whether if say Freddie Gray was injured but didn't die, the only charges the state would have been able to bring would have been assault, arguably, reckless endangerment, misconduct in office. And as a practical matter, it may not have ended up being high profile enough to warrant those sorts of charges under what is an unusual legal theory across the board.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for that expert advice or things that you talked about today. Also, Freddie Gray, his stepfather was in court today, as well as the head of the FOP. As far as Goodson, he remains on suspension without pay because he is being charged with a felony. Reporting live tonight, I'm Marcus Washington. Back to you.
Okay, Marcus, thank you. And here's what you need to know in the trial of Officer Caesar Goodson. The prosecution and defense both presented closing arguments today. Prosecutors alleged Goodson repeatedly breached his constitutional and administrative duties to keep Gray safe. The defense says Goodson acted reasonably under the circumstances. The verdict is expected Thursday.